It's been a really unsettling day. The dog, as usual, had me up at dawn for a morning constitutional. As we stepped outside, I saw police cars parked in front of the house next door, 3 of them. It's a very unusual sight in my quiet little neighborhood, so I was naturally curious. I thought at first that it might be a domestic issue, though that didn't really make much sense. The folks next door are really sweet, and there was no history of discourse. The police cars remained for some time though, hours in fact. Now and then, I would peek through the kitchen window to see if there was any other motion. Sometime before noon, a black van rolled up, and shortly after that, I saw them removing a body from the house. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to intrude, and so I haven't gone over. I am friendly with the neighbors, but not close friends. So I thought it was best to let things play out and figure that they would let me know when they're ready. I'm not sure who passed away. There were just 3 in their family: Janie, Bill, and their son Davon. Bill, he's a big guy, and so I knew that it wasn't him, simply based on the shape of the body bag. None of them, to my knowledge, were ill either. The idea that the police were there for so long, and that a coroner removed the body, told me that it wasn't an expected death. There was no crime scene unit. Nothing was taped off. And it's been quiet over there ever since. Their car hasn't gone since this afternoon, and the house is dark. A couple of hours ago, I took the dog for her evening walk. It was around 11 p.m. We go around the block, and as we're approaching the house on our return, I see Davon standing in the driveway. I don't know why, but I felt a chill, because I didn't know what to say to him. I didn't know if I should say anything at all, in fact. I still had no idea what transpired this morning, but seeing him, my best assumption became that his mother was the one who passed. What do you say to a kid in that case? But how could I not say something? So, as I got closer, I said, "Hi, Davon. Are you doing all right?" He had been looking out to the lake across the street, and at the sound of my voice, he turned to me. He smiled, and then he was gone. Just gone. I mean, he didn't walk off, he didn't fade away. It was like the flick of a switch. He was just gone. Their car still isn't there, and the house is still dark. I don't know what I saw, or what just happened. I've never seen someone disappear like this before, and it has me unnerved. I've been trying to occupy my mind by surfing the net for explanations, and I find myself here wondering if anyone might have ever had experienced something like this. I'll take any answers you got. So, I didn't sleep at all last night. Maybe an hour or so. My experience seeing Davon vanish the way that he did in the driveway, well, that hasn't been the last encounter I've had with him. I was pacing much of the night, or settled uneasily in my chair in the office. My wife is an early bird and was already in bed before any of this began, and I didn't want to wake her. She was upset, as I was, with knowing that something horrible happened next door. When she got up this morning, the first thing she asked was if I had heard anything about the neighbors. I chose not to tell her about my experiences, for now anyway. So, our garage is separated from the house, connected by a pergola. There's a table and chairs under the pergola, and I park my car just beyond them. I was looking at the front door almost constantly last night. Sometime around 3:30 in the morning, I saw a figure walk through the patio and up to my car. It was distinct, but not detailed. It was dark out there, so it wouldn't be detailed in any case. but it was about the size and shape of Davon, and I think I would have assumed it to be him, even if I hadn't had the strange experience earlier. The figure just sort of sat next to my car, on the ground, right at the driver's door. It was there for a moment or two, and then it was just gone. I could easily be convinced that my mind just made this up. I'm not sure what I believe I saw. The lights up front are on a motion sensor, and they didn't trip. I can only turn on or off the power from the inside, but the lights won't go on until they're triggered. They're very sensitive, so if there was something out there, they should have gone on. This morning, around 9 a.m., my wife saw a familiar blue Audi pull into the driveway next door, and we knew it to be Chip, who is Davon's uncle. She asked me to go and speak with him. I know Chip reasonably well. He and I helped Bill take a section of their fence down when they had a shed placed in their backyard. He's actually a really nice guy. I went out, and though a little nervous, called out to him. I asked him if everything was okay and said that I knew that something had happened. Chip, who until now I never saw without a smile, shook his head and looked to the ground as he made his way across the lawn. He told me that he was there to pick up some things for his brother and his wife, who would be staying with them for a while. And then he told me that Davon died. The confirmation hit me like a fist, and I let out a guttural sigh as I did my best to hold my tears back. I told him how sorry I was and asked if I could do anything to help. He said that there was nothing that anyone could do, and his body language made it clear that he didn't want to talk, that he just wanted to go and take care of what he needed to do. I asked him what happened, and he told me that they weren't quite sure yet, but that it's very likely an aneurysm. Davon had a benign tumor removed from behind his eye about 2 years ago. It was a scary time, but the surgery was thought to be completely successful. He had been in seemingly perfect health, in fact. I immediately assumed that an aneurysm would be related to his surgery. We've known Janie and Bill for about 10 years, ever since they moved in. They're really sweet people. We knew them to chat over lawnmowers or to hang out at block parties, in fact. We've had them over, and we've been over their place a couple of times, but that was the extent. The catalyst of our friendship was really Davon. He was the ambassador of the neighborhood. We watched him grow up from a little guy, and as he got older, he was always looking for odd jobs to feed his skateboard hobby, and I always kept him employed. Fuck. I'm sitting here. My eyes are watering, and I'm finding it hard to type. I don't just say this because he's gone, but honestly, I really loved him. He was a good kid. I had to tell my wife, who immediately broke down when I told her. After a while, she was determined to talk to Janie, but we were hesitant. She sent her a text, thinking that it was the least intrusive method, and told her that we were here for them, for whatever they needed. But could it be that I really saw him last night? Why me? And more importantly, why was he there? Is he still there? Whatever the case, I'm freaking out right now. I have had multiple sleepless nights throughout my life, due to an unknown thing watching me at night. It usually happens around the same hour, 1 or 2 a.m. When I wake up, it feels like something is there in the room, watching us, but individually, watching me particularly. It's always the same feeling too. I open my eyes and I know something was or is there in the same room. In fact, I usually wake up at the verge of screaming for help. It's a weird feeling. It feels like butterflies building up in my chest and flying up into my throat. I always wake up terrified, but I quickly go back to bed. This incident has happened to me throughout my entire life. I have moved houses, cities, and it has happened while I stay at other people's homes. It has always been the same feeling, and it feels like it's the same thing that has been watching me ever since I was a kid. The weird part, though, is that it's an occasional event. I could wake up to the thing watching me several nights in a row, in fact, and then it could stop for months, even years. This month, for example, I've been waking up to the feeling of being watched by this thing 5 or 6 times. The latest incident happened 2 nights ago. My wife and I, we had a big fight over something stupid. You know, the kind of arguments that start over little shit, but in reality, you're just getting back at your significant other for bigger stuff that you let go on different occasions. Anyway, that night, once we got tired of screaming and cursing at each other, I ended up sleeping in the living room. I was so tired and angry that I just fell asleep immediately. However, I remembered waking up to the feeling of being watched by the thing again, but I just let it go and quickly went back to sleep. But what my wife told me the following day, it genuinely freaked me out. She told me that she went to the living room for round 2. Yeah, and she saw me sitting on the couch. She said that I turned my head to her, and I gave her the angriest, ugliest, evilest look that I've ever given her in the dozen or so years that we've been together. And for the first time in our life together, she felt legitimately scared of me. She felt so frightened that she decided to go back to our bedroom and lock herself in there. She then told me that shortly after she locked herself in our bedroom, I screamed, "What do you want?" But she didn't even dare to answer me back. A few minutes after I shouted, she said that I started moaning and crying, just as if someone was torturing me, and she just assumed that I was having a nightmare or something. But the most unsettling thing about this whole ordeal is that I don't recall sitting on the couch. I don't remember screaming. I don't remember having any nightmares. I don't know what this thing is, and I don't even know if it's evil or if I just wake up startled because I don't know what it is. All I know is that this thing has been watching me for at least a decade and a half now. The first time I stayed at my in-laws, I felt the thing watch over me from across a room. Several years ago, I woke up to the thing grabbing my lower back while I was asleep. About a year and a half ago, my wife and I were sleeping over at a friend's house, and I felt the thing watching me by the side of my friend's bed. I have toyed with the idea that it all just could be in my head. I might be schizophrenic, or it might be stress-related or something. The only thing that throws me off, though, is that my wife has had nightmares where she sees the same thing. One night, she freaked the hell out of me because I had a bad dream about a small shadow floating above my body, and about 30 seconds after I woke up startled, she woke up frightened too and immediately hugged me. She told me that she had a nightmare where she saw a shadow dancing and floating over my body. This is the first time sharing these experiences with anyone, and I think this is real now. I don't know if this is paranormal or not, but I'm not making it up. I'm not really looking for help either. I don't think I'm in danger because if I was, something would have happened to me already, right? I guess all I wanted to say is the truth is out there.